The WHO is about as interested in public health as the arms industry is in world peace. Not at all. It's a huge lobby organization. They're funded by the pharmaceutical companies. And this is an unelected body that billionaires buy their way into, and they then get to decide what is good and what isn't good for you. So why would the governments voluntarily relinquish their governing powers to the WHO? Very simple answer. Because what they figured out during COVID, they could not impose what they really wanted to impose on us without running the risk of not being reelected. So in order to protect the politicians from running the risk of not getting reelected, they need to relinquish the decision-making into an unelected body. And then the politicians, they can then say, we would not have locked you up in your home. We would not have closed the schools.
Wow.
It was the WHO. We can't do anything about it. That's how this works.
Australian cities are becoming digital surveillance precincts with so-called smart city programs being rolled out across the country. Invasive technology such as facial recognition cameras, licence plate readers, smart lights, smart poles, smart cars, smart neighbourhoods, smart homes and smart appliances, all connected to wireless networks and communicating with each other. So what's wrong with that? Technology is good, isn't it? All this is for your safety, security and convenience, isn't it? Well, let me tell you, your streets are spying on you, your mobile phone is spying on you, your cities are spying on you, and the infrastructure for future lockdowns is being put into place right now. Don't be fooled. You're being set up to be tracked through your movements and through the future of your digital wallets. By handing over your data, you're handing over the ability to monitor your behaviour, which will soon be turned into a social credit score. And once the central bank digital currencies are in place, you won't get to spend your money without approval. Digital ID will soon become a reality in Australia. Many other countries are already rolling these systems out, countries like Canada, Scotland and many others. Eventually, you won't be able to access any government or public services, and you won't be able to travel across borders or access healthcare or the internet without a digital ID. Think you won't comply? I think you will. The last 2 years were the dress rehearsal and we fell for it hook, line and sinker. Australians are sleepwalking into this technocratic future. And while we're sitting around scratching our chins trying to work out whether this is really happening, Australia is drifting towards a dystopian digital future.
The lust to control other human beings is a story as old as time. There's a very strong drift in the direction of globalization, of the ultimate centralization of control in the hands of unelected officials at supranational organizations.
They want all of the resources of the world in their pocket.
The bigger picture is that an attempt is underway now to collapse liberal democracy and replace it with global technocracy.
This is a coup. They're saying we can control with rules. We don't need currency anymore.
It's like an inverted prison. You are supposedly free to roam about, but everything you want to access is behind lock and key.
The potential for social control is gigantic and potentially irreversible.
They plan to commandeer land, reduce farming, and radically change the food we eat, transform the supply of electricity, and then dictate how we use it, and replace currency with a system of credits. All three strategies are built on the premise of a climate crisis caused by carbon dioxide.
I do not think there's a climate crisis, and I base that on all the evidence and the climate data sets that we build to answer questions just like that. The government is very clear that they want a catastrophic story.
There is no single science paper that proves conclusively that humans control all or most of the global climate.
Europe's mad dash towards net zero is effectively economic suicide. Politicians are purposely impoverishing ordinary people, purposely deindustrializing Europe.
It's just tremendous amount of damage in the name of saving the planet. It does make you ask, what is it we're actually saving if we're paving it over?
I think what we're dealing with here is actually a global war on agriculture.
When you look at how many farms are selling up, we're walking into food shortages.
If I can switch everybody from real food to pharma food, then 100% of the agriculture industry can go through my publicly traded stocks, and I have complete control.
This is the biggest public relations scam in the history of the world. But it's far more than that. It's a blueprint. It is the action plan.
All life on Earth is going to be radically changed.
Everything will be monitored. The environmental consequences of every human action.
The general population cannot fathom the psychopathy of the vision that they're facing.
Once the digital ID is in place, it's game over for humanity.
Oxford Council are proposing to put up filters at major entry points into the city that if you are a resident, you will be allowed to drive in 100 times a year. If you live in Oxfordshire, you will be allowed to drive in 25 times a year. If you're neither, you're not allowed to drive in. They're trying to control our movement. When we said this restriction on movement, digital passports, so forth, controlling the people as to where we can go, what we can do, who we can see, and we raised our concerns about it, we were told we were conspiracy theorists. They're actually doing it. They're putting it into place. Well, they certainly are in Oxford. How long do you think it's going to be before you have the same restrictions where you live?
Christmas ain't what it used to be. Nothing is. Unless it's me getting older. Things was cheaper though. A lot cheaper. You could get 5 cigarettes for tuppence then.
They don't make them in 5s anymore, do they?
Well, you never see them.
People smoke more, I suppose.
Yeah. People do seem to be smoking more since the cancer scare. Worry, I suppose. There was none of that then either.
What?
Cancer was all TB then.
They can cure that now, can't they?
Yeah. I suppose as soon as they can cure cancer, they'll think of something else to worry us with. My Uncle Wilf used to say he reckoned it was the government.
What?
He used to give us all these diseases.
It's a bit daft, Mum.
Well, they put them in our food. That's what he used to say.
Mum.
You can taste it in the water sometimes.
That's chloride.
Well, there you are.
They put that in to improve the water.
Well, it don't improve the taste. My Uncle Wilf used to say the only time they've got any use for us, the only time the government's got any use for us is in a war. Rest of the time he used to say we're an embarrassment to him. Yeah. He used to say that they only need so many of us to do the things that need doing, and the rest they'd rather be without. So they spray our food, put things in the water to keep us down. Well, they do it to rabbits. He used to grow all his own food.
Everything?
Well, all he could. He only had a window box.
So we're called conspiracy theorists for pointing out exactly what it is they're doing. We were labeled all kinds of names. Tinfoil hat wearing individuals. You belong in a loony bin, right? They called us all kind of names. Now it's turned out that everything that we were called crazy for, they're actually doing it. They are all doing the stuff that we're called crazy for. Oh, nobody's doing this. There's no conspiracy against the people. You're just a crazy individual. You should be locked up. You belong in a loony bin. Put you in a straight jacket, right? All this crazy stuff that they say about us. But look at where we are. It turned out that every thing we were accused of was eventually turned out to be nothing but factual. They're actually doing everything we said they were doing, right? The digital identity, universal basic income, social credit score system, right? 15-minute cities. The list goes on and on and on and on and on, right? The depopulation agenda, Agenda 2020, Agenda 2030, right? The Great Reset, all the above, and then some. We call them out on all this stuff because the evidence was there that they are doing this stuff. The NWO, right? Now, if we talk about the New World Order, YouTube will put a fact check saying that how it's just a conspiracy theory, it's this and it's that, right? But it turned out to be all true. It is all true. That's why I put together a couple of these clips, kind of like giving you an idea of the total control, globalist, digital planet, digital lockdown, total lockdown, control the food, control the people, right? All the agendas that they've put in place. Like here it said they're trying to control our movement. Oxford, UK local authorities are proposing vehicle restrictions to ban non-residents from driving into the city while limiting entry to just 100 times per year for residents. We were told we were conspiracy theorists. They are actually doing it. So you can't call us conspiracy theories anymore. We're giving you the facts. That's just what it is. It may not be coming from your so-called mainstream news media, but the truth remains. It says, how long do you think it's going to be before you have the same restrictions where you live? Not so long. Not so long. You have to understand what is going on here. Before we go any further, this is the book of Proverbs, the 29th chapter. And the second verse, the subheading says, warnings and instructions. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rucha HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and continue to teach us this truth. Peace, salutation, shalom, shalom, shalom. To all you brothers and sisters out there, all of the household of faith, beginning with 144,000 mighty men of the house of Israel, down to the men, women, and children that are allotted to be delivered in these latter days, who are of the elect, and to the brothers that are pushing this gospel in all sincerity and in all honesty, to you all that say shalom, right? I had to pull this scripture out because, like it says here, warnings and instructions. And the clips you're seeing is telling you about our immediate future. This is not something that is far off. That's why everything that is going on right now is leading us there. Even what is happening in Iran and Israel bombing each other, right? They all have their outcome, and that outcome is to bring about draconian measures, right? To bring about the total control of every aspect of our lives, right? The whole rioting that is going on right now. They allowed that to happen. We've heard information how they're paying people, agent provocateurs, to be out there, riling things up. You see? Because they need that chaos. They need that chaos because they have an agenda. The agenda is to bring about a dystopian future where, like I say here, they will control everything. They control your movement, everything. This lady here put together some of these clips. Like it says here, the Australian Senator Alex Antek warns, here goes the warning, remember here, warnings and instructions. Better take heed. Warns that the rollout of smart cities technology, including facial recognition cameras, social credit systems, CBDCs, and digital identity, is laying the foundation for a dystopian digital future. Your streets are spying on you, your mobile phone is spying on you, your cities are spying on you, and the infrastructure for future lockdowns is being put in place right now. See that? Because we are being set up to be tracked through your movements. Like we read earlier, your movements are being restricted, trying to control your movement. So they put in place all this control grid, this total control grid all throughout the whole place. So you'll be monitored. Whatever it is you do, humans are not designed to be monitored by other humans. I mean, the God that created us can monitor us because we are his subjects, we are his creation. He can keep an eye on us. But for other humans like that, and wicked humans for that matter, right? You're not designed to be watched over like that by wicked individuals. You see? Like every step you take, they'll be right there. And through the future of your digital wallets, by handing over your data, you're handing over the ability to monitor your behavior, which will soon be turned into social credit score. You see that? And once the central bank digital currencies are in place, you won't get to spend your money without approval. You see? Eventually, you won't be able to access any government or public services. You won't be able to travel across borders or access healthcare or the internet without digital identity. This is oppression. This is total oppression, right? You think you wouldn't comply? I think you will. But a lot of people, we saw what happened during the 2020, 2021 when they rolled out the Juicy Juice, right? A lot of people, they folded, man, like a cheap lawn chair, right? Folded like a deck of cards and rolled up their sleeve and took the you-know-what. Going back here, warnings and instructions, Proverbs the 29th chapter, in the second verse, it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And the people are mourning right now, which is indicative that the wicked are the ones ruling. So your Rothschilds, your Rockefellers, your Oppenheimers, your DuPonts, your Gettys, the wicked elites, they are the wicked. That's why the people are mourning. Right? People are not rejoicing. Right? So if the righteous were rejoicing, the people will be, if the righteous were in authority, the people will be rejoicing. Right? But that's the total opposite. Proving a point that the wicked are in positions of power. They are the ones ruling right now. They are the ones ruling right now, which brings us here real quick. Woe to oppressors. Micah 2:1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. That's exactly what it is. This whole agenda they are bringing to fruition. Guess what? They're devising iniquity. This dystopian future where you'll be required to have a digital identity to function in this society, which will lead to the mark of the beast. Facial recognition systems and digital concentration camps, social credit score systems, right? All these systems that have been put in place is nothing but oppression. That's why it says here, woe to oppressors. So they're oppressing you to the point where you will own nothing and be happy. You see that? It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it. So while you're sleeping, they're thinking about elaborate ways to oppress you. And then when the morning comes, they carry it out. Why? Because it is in the power of their hand. They've been given the power to do so. Who gave them the power? Well, the God of the Bible. You have to understand this. The God of the Bible operates in the left hand and in the right hand. He has total control of everything happening in the earth. Total control of everything happening in the earth. And everything happening in the earth is a part of prophecy. That's right. In the Bible, that's the only place you get clarity of what is happening in the world stage right now. And this is the second verse. It says, and they covered fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Going back to the you own nothing and be happy. Bill Gates bought up all kinds of farmlands, right? Buying up everywhere. There's a place he bought in California, I believe, LA, called Belmont, where they will erect their smart cities. You see, they take them by violence. Well, they'll burn you out of it there, right? They burn you out, let the whole place on fire so you get away. Then you sell it for pennies on the dollar because, insurance companies are not paying for that. See how they get you? So that's how they take them by violence in houses and take them away. Going back to the original settlers of America, the native Indians, right? Their houses got taken away. They themselves almost got wiped out. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. That's the way of the wicked. That's the way of the wicked Edomites that rule the planet. Right? The wicked elites. That's their way. That's how they get down. That's their MO. See? That's why the third verse happens. Therefore, thus say the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, behold, against this family do I devise an evil. What family? Well, the wicked elites. Those that oppress a man and his heritage. The oppressors. It says, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall you go haughtily, for the time is at hand. So ultimately they will get their just due. Believe that. It's only a matter of time before they get their just due, because they're just there to fulfill prophecies. Now check this out. So the World Economic Forum wants to know, would you be happy sharing, not owning, you own nothing and be happy, a car? See what all this agenda is rounding up to? So the Netherlands is building a neighborhood where every car must be shared. There will be one vehicle for every 3 homes and no space for privately owned cars. That's why they're erecting all these 50-minute cities. No space. It would just be, everybody was just smushed in these small places while they own the rest of the earth. It says residents will be encouraged to cycle, use public transport, or borrow from a pool of shared cars, and everything that residents need will be within walking distance. You get that? Get that? That's your 15-minute cities. What is your response to the WEF's question? Well, my response is the middle finger. How about that? Right? How about that? So I put together all these clips here. You know, you see them all to just kind of like let you know what it is they're doing. You know, with that in mind, here he's talking about they're looking to control your movement. Well, we just read earlier that WEF, that's always been their plan. Right? That's always been their plan, to control your movement. You can't go anywhere. But to pull out the whole climate change, net zero, carbon footprints, to restrict your movement. Meanwhile, they'll be the ones going everywhere. Now you have the German MEP Christian Andersen explains why governments are voluntarily relinquishing their governing powers to the WHO. They figured out during COVID that they could not impose what they really wanted to impose on us without running the risk of not being re-elected. So in order to protect the politicians, they need to relinquish the decision making into an unelected body. They can then say, we would not have locked you up in your home. We would not have closed the schools, it was the WHO. And how are you going to get the WHO? You can arrest WHO, right? So everything has been methodically planned out by the wicked elites. It says, we can't do anything about it. This is how it works. See? All this is happening because of the oppressors. So they plan ahead how to get you in a bind, man. How to get you in a bind. This is Psalms, the 55th chapter and the 21st verse. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, right? They come at you with all these convincing words to have you relinquish your God-given rights. You know, they tell you that, oh, it's for the greater good. It's for the good of mankind. And, you know, so let's go net zero. Knowing full well we are also carbon made, right? Knowing full, they tell you that how, oh man, cow farts are effing up the ozone layer, right? Oh, we got a sustainable development. We got the Green New Deal, Build Back Better, the Great Reset. We got to reset everything. You know, think about our children. Think about this, think about that. Well, they come at you with the words smoother than butter. But war wasn't in his heart. So their real intentions is to shed blood. While they're coming at you with all these convincing words, this enticing words, alluring words, their true intent is in bloodshed. See? It says his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. You see that? So they're looking to cut you up, man. They're looking to dissect you up. It was on to say, cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. So this is who you got to trust. When they tell you to trust the so-called experts, right? Trust the science. Well, look where they got us. This is who you should trust. Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Not these crazy oligarchs, this technocrats. They're looking to, you know, make life a living hell for you. You can't trust these guys. Are you crazy? It says, but thou, O God, shall bring them down to the pit. Who? The pit of destruction. Who will he do that? Well, bloody and deceitful men. That's exactly what they are. They are bloody. They love to shed blood. There's nothing to them. That's why they're looking to reduce the population to 500 million. There's a lot of bloodshed, brothers and sisters. There's a lot of bloodshed, and they've been doing so for a very long time. You know, so bloody and deceitful men shall not live out half their days, but I will trust in thee. Who will you trust in? Well, in the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Because without him, we are done for. This is Psalms, the 58th chapter, and the first verse. The subheading says, prayer for the punishment of the wicked. This is what we're supposed to be praying for the wicked rulers, the wicked elites, to get their just due, their comeuppance. You know, it's time for them to get their comeuppance. For real. It says to the chief musician, Altaskith, Miktam of David, right? It says, do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O sons of men? Apparently not. Look at the state of the earth. They don't speak righteousness. They say it's okay for a child to change his plumbing, for a young boy to turn into a girl. It's okay. It's totally fine. That is not righteous. Because if they were righteous, everybody that went to Epstein Island would have been had their heads chopped off. You see? But no, they are still in power. As a matter of fact, they're in your Congress. They're in your government. They're your mayors. You know, they get fancy positions to rule over you. That is no righteousness. You know, they don't judge uprightly. They don't. Because if they did, like I said, every individual, even the people that push for the juicy juice that you put in your arm, would have had their heads chopped off. You see? It says, yea, in heart ye work wickedness. That's what they do. They plan all this stuff in their head, their heart, meaning their minds. Think about all this stuff. They have their think tanks to come up with ways to oppress you. You see? Say, ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. You know, they lay back and look at what they've done. the havoc they've wreaked all throughout the earth, the bloodshed, the atrocities, the crimes against humanity. They kick back and look at it and drink champagne and pop bottles and laugh over it and be like, oh yeah, we did a fine good job. Why? The third verse, the wicked are estranged from the womb. That's what it is. That's why they bring about this living hell on the planet. Why? Because they're estranged from the womb. Even from the womb, they are the wicked. They come out. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. That's why you can't believe anything these guys try to sell to you. Can't believe anything they try to sell to you. You know? Never believe them. It says their poison is like the poison of a serpent, right? Exactly what they put in your arm. 2020, 2021, right? They told you it was safe and effective. Meanwhile, they were poisoning you. Ain't that something? It says they are like the deaf adder that stopped her ear. It says, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. Break their teeth, O God, in their mouth. What is it? Teeth? Well, their teeth represents their strength. Right? Just like a lion. Lion grab you with his teeth, you done, man. Right? So he's saying here, break their teeth. In other words, take away their power, O God, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Let them melt away as waters which run continually. When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be cut in pieces. Right? They will get their just due. It says, as a snail which melteth, let every one of them pass away, like the untimely birth of a woman. Right? Oh, whoa, what happened? Sorry about that. Getting it back. Yeah, like the untimely birth of a woman, right? A woman has a miscarriage or whatever. This is how they'll go away. Because we need them to go away. That's why it's a prayer for the wicked. They need to be done away with. Because if not, they will destroy everything, even themselves. Somebody that's looking out to block out the sun, that individual is not right in the head. You want to block out the sun. There is something is real seriously wrong with you. You see? That's why we need them to be cut short, to be destroyed, or else they will destroy the earth, everything in it, even themselves. It says that they may not see the sun. They may not see the sun. I mean, look at that, right? Looking to block out the sun. Well, eventually you won't see the sun. It says, before your pots can feel the thorns, he shall take them away as with a whirlwind, both living and in his wrath. The righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. So, like we read earlier, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So when the righteous take over the earth from the wicked, it will be in blood. Because the wicked has done a lot of bloodshed. And it will be the time for their own blood to be shed. Their bloods will be spilled on the earth. Rightfully so, for all they've done, all the wickedness they've done. The righteous will wash their feet in the blood of the wicked. It says, so that a man shall say, verily there is a reward for the righteous. Verily he is a God that judgeth in the earth. So when the Most High takes away the rulership from the wicked and judge the wicked, you will know that the Most High is the judge in the earth. You will know that he rewards the righteous, not the wicked. Because right now it looks like the wicked, they own everything. Right? They own everything. They're doing fine. But it's about to be a change in rulership, a paradigm shift, trading places is about to happen, and soon and very soon, and we cannot wait. With that, all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachahakudash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. See you next time, Lord willing. Shalom. Shalom.